can go through some preliminary stuff. So let me call this hearing or meeting of the City of Newcastle Board of Building Appeals. Call it open and call it order and say for the record, we are meeting in the community room, the municipal building on Municipal Boulevard on Newcastle 19720. It is Tuesday, November 16th, 2021. It's a little after 6:30, and it's the notice that went out. Let me read this. The meeting of the Board of Building Appeals will be held at 6:30 p.m. in the community room at 1 Municipal Boulevard, Newcastle, on Tuesday, November 16, 2021, to discuss properties at 16 West 10th Street, Newcastle, Delaware 19720, parcel number 21-014-000. I'm sorry, 20 there, -261, Gladys Clark, 148 Casimir Drive, Newcastle, Delaware 19720, parcel number 21-007-00-092, Joseph Nakotra, how do you say that?
First one is right.
Nakotra, okay, thank you. And 207 Balt Avenue, Newcastle, Delaware 19720, 21, parcel 21-007-00 or .00-239, Lisa Smith. So are all parties here? Yes, okay, yes, okay, great. All right, each seeking a one-time waiver of registration fee of vacant property pursuant to City Code 141-19F. This was posted on November 3rd, 2021. I'm going to describe a little bit of the process, but I want to make a statement from my perspective. And I want to kind of set the context for why we're here. You have the city solicitor, city attorney here, and you got the city engineer here. I'm the only elected person. Our hope is, I think collectively, appreciate people making investment in properties. Appreciate people trying to do the right thing, update them, fix them up. I always kind of look at this through the lens. I've lived downtown in the historic area, and I live in Shawtown right now. So my lens is what I want. How would somebody feel if they live next door to me? And so not everything happens, right away, but we want to see people make progress on their properties. And the goal is to have better neighborhoods and better properties. And so let me say that if you're making an investment in properties, that's appreciated. And we hope we can come to some agreements on the timing and the quality and the pace of all those kinds of improvements. We're going to ask all the parties to be sworn in by the city solicitor first, and then I'm going to go in the order that was on the agenda. So we'll take 16 West 10th Street first. Ask Mr. Berg. Okay. Ask Mr. Bergstrom to talk about the description of the issues, and then hear from the property owners. And then we'll have questions and comments from the members of this panel. We'll then ask if there's any public input after that. Then we'll close that hearing. We'll have some discussion. We'll render a decision, and we'll move on to the next case. Okay? All right. So let's start with all of you at one time. Mr. Lasko is going to look at you, and he's going to ask you. I want to just be clear to everybody. This is being recorded. It's a hearing. And so you should treat it as such, because should this go beyond this place, this would probably be a record that clearly would be a record that would be used to inform either Superior Court or wherever. Superior Court, wherever it would go. Okay. So, Mr. Lasko.
Anybody who's going to testify tonight and present their case, if you raise your right hand with me, please. State your name.
Carla D. Clark.
Do you all swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, consider yourself sworn.
Okay. All right, so we'll stake the property at 16 West 10th Street. Gladys Clark is the property record of owner, and come on up here if you like. Mr. Bergstrom, come on up.
Good evening.
Hi, how are you? All right, so. This one's Clark, this one. And Smith. Oh, here's a copy of it. Thanks. All right. Yes. What is, from your perspective, the issue or issues with this particular property?
The property is vacant. The owner of the property forever is, in all fairness, it was a friend of mine. And she passed last year. The property is vacant. It's being cared for and maintained as though it was lived in. And so it doesn't, it's not that negative externality that this code really is searching for, but the property does need to be put back into the rental market. And the applicant here is Carla, her Miss Clark's daughter, and she can testify as to how she's making it, proposes to make improvements to the property and get it back on the market.
How long has it been vacant?
It's been a while. Miss Clark has been suffering in ill health.
I'm looking at your cover letter to Ms. Clark, and it
It's-
says since 2016, is that right?
Yes, I believe we established the dates of vacancies by, not even irregardless of owner, but when utilities drop to zero. So when utility usage is down to zero, if there's no water being used, then I assume that the property becomes vacant at that time.
But had there been registration filings in the past since 2016 and fees paid then?
No, I don't believe so.
So this is the first time a
It
registration.
took us a while. The property has been maintained in excellent condition. Took us quite a while to
Wasn't on your radar screen.
get it on the radar screen. And as I said, I'm not sure that this is one of the properties that is offending the community very much, but it's still, once we saw it was vacant, we try to get every one of them. We search utilities.
So do you currently own it?
Yes, I inherited the property, and good evening. I do apologize for being a few minutes late. I was driving up from Virginia, so unfortunately I
Just for
hit,
this?
yes.
Wow.
So I apologize. I hit a lot of traffic.
Used to live in Alexandria. I know the wonders of 495 and 95 and
Yeah.
66.
Well, I live in Annandale, so you're familiar where I am.
Yeah.
I know where Alexandria, so I do apologize.
Not a
It's
problem.
okay.
Happy you're here.
Thank
So
you.
tell us about the house.
So I've been trying to maintain and keep the house, and what my goal is to do is to renovate the inside of the house. And I recently invested over $7,500 to maintain and clear the yards and the surrounding grounds. And that was in late August of this year.
Okay.
And so what I plan to do, since my mother's passing, is to rent the property.
Okay.
I do need to do some improvements to the property, which I plan to do. I am concerned, I know in my application, I asked for a 9-month period, which is your maximum period of time to complete this. In part due to, I have concerns about some supply chain issues. I am looking for a contractor at this time and trying to get some bids to get work done. I will do as much as I can, but I do need to get some contractor help to upgrade some plumbing and some other issues, do some painting, and other additional upgrades. But that is my ultimate goal, is to make this a rental property and to register as a landlord with the city.
Can you describe what kind of internal renovations you need to do to make it rentable?
Well, what I need to do is paint all the rooms.
Right.
Would like to, the kitchen, I would like to redo the kitchen in terms of the appliances. The kitchen would need a complete, I think, redo in terms of the appliances, putting in new cabinetry. Like to put in washer and dryer. But for all the rooms, it's just to upgrade the rooms for those things to do. I do need to address some plumbing issues throughout the house where I think we'll need to replace some plumbing. Because the-
Fixture, you have leaks, do you have, or
There are
is it just, or is
leaks.
it the fixtures?
Oh, no, there are major leaks. The water is currently off at the house right
Okay.
now, but there are leaks that I know for pipes that I will need to get fixed.
Okay, there's evidence of leaking and either on ceilings or floors or.
In the kitchen, it's all primarily in the kitchen area,
Okay,
in the kitchen ceiling, but that we're also involved in upstairs.
or bathroom up there,
Yes,
okay,
we're an upstairs bathroom, so I'd like to get those things fixed.
okay.
Ms. Clark, when did your mother pass?
2019.
And since 2019, that's a long time, it's a couple of years now. Has there been any effort to do anything with this property and get it up and running again?
Well, I was going to, I will say that my mother's passing was very hard on me.
Or- sorry.
She had some serious medical issues. And I was taking care of her. That with 2 young children and a very demanding job, I'm a federal prosecutor in Washington DC. It was very difficult, I'll be very honest with you, after her passing, to keep up with my trial schedule. I literally had 1 week off after her passing. And that was the week between when she passed and her funeral. Her funeral was on a Sunday and I was back in court on that Tuesday. So it took me a while to sort of get myself together.
Right.
And then the pandemic hit. So really I was starting to plan to do renovations and to get this property together, and then the pandemic hit, which really set us back. In terms of my family, we were trying to do the renovations that we wanted to do. I think we all are aware with individuals with virtual learning, that became another complicating factor where I'm teleworking, still doing court appearances by WebEx and by Zoom, and my children are at home with virtual learning for over 1.5 years. There are also travel restrictions. Virginia was very strict in the beginning where if we went to travel, we had to quarantine when we came back in. That was a problem. And then there was also travel restrictions early on in the pandemic. If I were to travel into Delaware, I had to quarantine. But now that things are better with the pandemic in terms of individuals being vaccinated, travel has opened up. That's when I started this summer looking into things that I need to do. I've created a list, I've created a plan, and a timeline, but I've also factored in some additional time because I am concerned about some of the supply chain issues with buying new appliances and things that need to be done for the upgrades.
Mr. Bergstrom, any reactions to anything you heard?
I agree with their assessment of how long it's taking to get things done. I know when I ordered a refrigerator, it took just about a year to get a KitchenAid refrigerator when I replaced my appliances at my house. So I don't know what relief you can grant, but I certainly would give, out of memory of Mrs. Clark, it was just a mainstay of the community for consideration.
Mr. Lasko, any other questions?
Quick question, I understand the situation.
Mr. Tracy, any other questions?
No, sir.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments from the public? All right, hearing none. All right, I'm going to close this hearing and we'll have a discussion and we'll render a judgment.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. All right, motion to close this hearing on
Motion to close?
Second.
on the property of 16 West 10th. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the hearing is closed. All right. So. What I think a path forward could be. I think we need to, I think it's reasonable between now and the end of January 31st to have been in contact with contractors, to have had them visit the property, get your prices, make plans, and put orders in for what you need. Supply chain issues are healing. They're not great, but they're getting better. And I also am willing to go out until the end of June because the problems with the property are really not a detriment to the cityscape and to the street view. A lot of this is internal in nature. So surrounding property values, if somebody next door was trying to sell their house, it's not an eyesore. These are more interior kinds of problems, not exterior problems. So my own view, and for those reasons, I think I'd like to see a plan, albeit a short outline that basically says, look, by January 31st, I will have had contractors come through. I will have, hopefully sooner, but we do have the interruption of the holidays. But I will have had contractors come through. I will have chosen a contractor. I understand the prices. I've got time to sort out my budget issues. I've picked out cabinets, picked out appliances, recognizing there may be some time that the contractor's got to get the work done and the appliances become available. But I would hope that by the end of June, this project's over. That's my view.
Could I clarify? So you didn't preface any of that by saying that you would grant the waiver if those were, so is that like a condition of, or are you suggesting we take no action and the applicant kind of just let this thing?
I'm willing to grant a one-time waiver.
Okay.
Okay, I'm willing to grant a one-time waiver for now, provided that there's a plan, it's actionable, and that the first hurdle would be signed contracts, and you've got all of the stuff that you need to purchase and your cabinet choices, all that stuff. January 31st, you've got it all lined up, you got it all sorted out, you know the prices, orders are made, and now it's just time to execute. You've got now 5 more months to execute. That's my view. And
Okay.
as long as those steps are met, I'm good, and I hope we don't have to have Ms. Clark come all the way back from Annandale.
Right.
Unless she wants to come visit.
Without disagreeing with you, just trying to clarify. So the only part of the code that I guess I don't want to get hung up on, but it quote demonstrates with satisfactory proof without, I'm not, it sounds accusatory and I'm certainly not, but we have no proof that everything you just said is actually true. So in a way, it sounds like you're giving the applicant some time to come up with that proof as opposed to doing it this evening.
That's just, yes, that's true. And
Okay.
I'm gonna say, I'm gonna respond to that this way, Mr. AD, is by saying that if we weren't still sorting our way out of a pandemic, and if supply chain issues and other kinds of materials were more readily available, I could see, I might be in a different posture, and I might see I might have a different lens on this.
Okay.
But for the time being, I'm willing to be a bit more lenient with the goal of getting this property up, running, and into the rental inventory sooner as opposed to later.
I generally have no problem with what you just proposed then.
Mr. Lasko.
I do think the language of the ordinance is sticky. Demonstrates with satisfactory proof that you're actively and continuously in the process of demolition, rehab, or other substantial repair. I don't know if the applicant's done that. I mean, the testimony is evidence, so that's fine. But I am a little concerned about a lack of activity since the August timeframe, which you had the grounds maintained. And that's a positive. Obviously, you like to see that. It's good for the neighborhood and all that. And I do understand supply chain. I do understand the pandemic. I'm somebody who's rehabbing a house right now, and it's not taking a couple of years. Most of it's painting and minor repairs, but that sounds like what she's got too. Replacing appliances, cabinets, some plumbing, and painting. So, that kind of work really shouldn't take 9 months. You may have some trouble with appliances and cabinets. That is a possibility. But what I'm concerned about is that we don't necessarily have any action.
Right.
Since the late summer when the grounds were maintained, she didn't have a contractor, she's out of state, so she's really gonna be behind the eight ball. You're gonna be behind the eight ball as a landlord out of state. You're not gonna be able to monitor this property unless you have a property manager or something. So that's a whole other story, but that's a challenge that you're gonna be facing. But look, I get it. Mrs. Clark apparently passed away right near the time the pandemic was starting. The whole 2020 was shot with restrictions and travel restrictions and other problems. And now we got supply chain issues. So I'm not going to interfere with the collective judgment of this board, which seems inclined to grant, it sounds like a 7-month extension for June.
Correct.
Right? I want to.
And Mr. Lesko, in consideration to the points you made, I don't disagree with it. Under normal circumstances, this is a 60 to 90 day project, period. It's not much longer than that. And actually, if you got a good contractor, it's
6 weeks.
6 months, right? So this is, so, all right. So, do I need to restate this for clarity purposes or?
You probably should have Dave make the motion,
Okay.
Since you're the chair.
All right.
And then
Well, the mayor, I guess I'd have to restate your motion. So if we granted the, till June 30, so that's 7.5 months.
Right.
That to me is almost 9, but regardless. You also though introduced a checkpoint in that of January 31.
January 31.
So-
that have to be, for me, there has to be, or you've had contractors, a contractor or contractors through, you've made your choice. You've picked out appliances, you've picked out cabinets, you've got your prices. You have a signed contract, you're ready to roll. Now it's just a matter of execution.
Okay, so in essence, what the motion would be a 7.5 month waiver. Is that the right word? Yes, a 7.5 month waiver, conditioned upon the applicant providing the clear
Building
proof
inspector To the building
to
inspector.
the building inspector of contractor and or materials being purchased, et cetera, by January 31. So in other words, if she doesn't do that, her 7-month waiver becomes void February 1.
Correct.
Is that what you
Correct.
were? Okay. Well, I wish I did say that as a motion. Okay. I move that we grant the waiver, the one-time waiver from the vacant building registration fee for the subject property for a time period to June 30th, 2022, conditioned upon the applicant providing demonstrated proof to the building official of a contractor being hired and materials being purchased by January 31,
or at least materials ordered.
or okay, ordered. Thank you. By January 31, 2022.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous. All right.
Good
Clark,
luck. Good
there's
luck.
a plan.
I don't know, Mr. Burks, we can give you names of
I
contractors
certainly can. Please call me.
to help you
Okay,
out and
thank
get you in the right direction. That's like I said, being out of state, that's what you need.
Yeah.
You need some boots on the ground here.
Also, I didn't receive any written notice about the hearing today. May I be given a copy of the written notice?
You wanna get this?
No, I did not. I did not receive any written notice.
Good evening. No, it's hammered in front of my door. I don't live there.
Okay?
My tenant sent me a notice.
So let me ask you, hold on a second, guys. All right, 3424 Monarch Lane,
That's correct.
but it wasn't sent to you.
No, I've actually
That,
been looking for the notice. so I'm
that letter she
hoping
got,
to-
she's talking about a notice of tonight's meeting.
The notice of tonight's,
Oh, I
And
see.
that fell through the crack. The properties were posted. And
How'd
I,
you know to be here?
once I realized the property, they didn't have a written notice of the meeting, I started dialing.
I have
All
no
right,
problem.
well,
I have a thing.
no, well, I will take one for the team. So this is the first hearing of this sort for this city, okay? So I apologize, okay? We will do better, right? We will do better.
Starts with you.
I did my
Okay.
part.
Everyone, I'm just saying everyone. We will all do our part. We'll make sure that, because that should not happen. That should not happen. Sorry, folks, sorry about that, truly. That
So I
should not happen.
apologize. It was very short notice.
No,
for
no,
me, and
you're 100%
I had a
correct.
hard time getting leave from work
Yeah.
on short notice. I couldn't gather everything and get it together, so I apologize.
You're fine.
I did my
No.
best to make it here at least.
No,
No,
well,
I
thank you.
appreciate the effort,
Thank
really
you,
do.
Thank you. So, thank you for pointing that out. We'd have gone through unless somebody here had said that, did not know that. So we will do better. We got to tighten up that process, make sure that that doesn't happen. That's not right. So thank you for pointing that out.
Thank you.
All right, good luck.
Thank you. Is there anything else?
That's it.
May I
All
be
good.
excused? May I be
Give Jeff a
excused?
call.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck. Yeah, hope you had terrible another 4 hours to get back.
I do have another 4 hours.
Oh,
Well, hopefully it'll be 3. 'cause I-
Hopefully it's not 4 though.
Well,
No,
That's-
it should be about 2.5,
It should be
3.
about two
Yeah.
and a half
2.5, but there was a very bad truck accident
on
on
95.
95. Yeah,
So you might
right
want to
before
consider.
Route 32.
You might want to consider taking 301, which brings you down to the Bay Bridge. It runs parallel to 95, brings you down to the Bay Bridge, because they have a new extension. It's all highway now. So if you have electronic device with Waze or something like that, you avoid 95. It's
I was
wide open.
listening to the news, but all the alternate routes were backed up because everyone was
Right.
leaving 95, but
Gotcha.
I'll keep that in mind.
You
Thank
got it.
very much.
Safe
All right.
driving.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let's go to 148 Casimir Drive. Joseph,
Yes, sir.
come on up. Yep.
Yeah, that photograph, that's the notice I got. That's how I was notified. I got a text from my tenant that this was posted in front of my house.
Yep.
Otherwise,
You would know about it.
no, I did find out a day or two ago, and Jeff called me to say, hey, I don't think you got it mailed to you. So
I got it. Well, like I said,
I would have been the only one here otherwise.
well, I apologize. I mean,
I did get a notice from my tenant.
Got it.
And you mentioned earlier, I'm sorry, this is the first hearing of this sort?
Yep.
Why? Is this a new,
It is new.
this is a new referendum to charge this $1,000 fee? Is when?
There's always been a vacant property registration fee. There's always been one here, at least the last 12 years or so that I've been here. It was recently modified to create this appellate process and to adjust the fees that were being charged. So there's always been this vacant property registration requirement, but it has been modified here, and the Board of Building Appeals was set up to hear these kind of appeals for
Thank you.
people who are in the process of rehabbing properties, to give them kind of a break there.
And actually, before this, it was kind of like, here's your bill. So hopefully we can kind of get stuff sorted out. So that's,
Appreciate it.
yeah, that's the plan. So, all right.
I'm glad to be involved in the first
Yeah.
trial, right?
Yeah, there you go, right? Again, apologize about the notice issue. All right. Jeffrey, what is, Mr. Bertram, what's the issues with 148 Casimir, please?
It just became vacant.
Okay,
I mean, the applicant, the appellant will have to tell you exactly the detail, but this was just a matter of timing. I think the tenant moved, the pandemic hit.
Okay.
Just
What do you mean by just? You said it just became vacant. That could mean yesterday or a year.
whatever the letter says.
No, right, of course. 3/1/2019. All right, I don't know if I would have called that just,
Well,
but
just before
okay.
the
the
pandemic.
pandemic. It was like a year before the pandemic. I'm sorry, go ahead.
9 months or so. Yeah, it was at the end of 2019. So did we.
Mhm.
Okay. Is the property in good condition currently?
Yes.
He's mentioned he's got a tenant. That's how we found out about this. So it's not vacant at all, is it?
I can't speak for the
Joseph, what's the status of the property
It's rented.
Okay.
Your city has my application
for rental
for
license?
rental license.
Okay, okay.
Yes, sir.
When did it become rented?
August 5th. This year.
Okay, got it. Okay. And so what are so it was vacant, but now it's no longer vacant.
Correct.
Okay. Are there any outstanding, are there any issues with the premises, either exterior?
No
issues?
interior or exterior issue.
There never was. Sorry. Frank.
No. So what's your take on all this?
My take on it is, well, don't recall exactly when. I know the tenant called me and said she was having a problem with the heater. So it had to be in the winter, just around 19.
Okay.
And so I sent the contractor to check it out. He said, no, actually, she was complaining about the air conditioning. So it was like late summer or something.
Okay.
The air conditioning stopped. Contractor went to look at the heating and ventilation system, told me he can't change out the unit because the gas isn't on. And my home is supplied with gas. My electric service isn't enough to give me a full house of electric heat. Now, backtrack a little bit, a couple of years, I was lied to by this tenant. That's why I threw her out. As soon as I can get my lawyer to get her out. Because Delmarva contacted me and said, your tenant won't let us hook up the gas. I said, why not? He said something about the meter. They ran new pipelines down my community,
Right. Yep.
okay?
Yep.
They ran new line down the community.
Yep.
Mine was the only house in the block that didn't get hooked up. So after I got rid of her in March of 19,
Yeah.
I had to wait several months for Delmarva to schedule digging up the street to run a line from across the street to my house
Okay.
to get me power, just so I can finally, I can't rent it without a heater. Everybody agrees with that, right?
Correct.
It's against the law. I believe there's a law about providing heat, right?
Yep.
So I can't provide heat until I get the gas. Now, I finally have the gas. It was late in 19.
Okay.
So now I have, oh, by the way, in the interim, while I was waiting, I had a brand new roof put on the house. The patio in the back, the concrete was broken. I actually asked Jeff to write me up a citation. So he documented that my patio was all torn up.
Okay.
And then I had it removed and replaced, and you inspected it, I believe.
Right.
Well, anyway, when she finally left, she trashed my kitchen, she trashed my bathrooms, and my house was a wreck. So yes, I needed all cabinets, and right about then, when, after I got the gas hooked up and I got the heater hooked up, the air conditioning, now I'm looking to get contractors to work on the kitchen and the bathrooms. By the way, also, because she didn't have gas, she disconnected my gas hot water heater and hooked up an electric one. And then disconnected it and took that heater out, but like, I needed all those services as well. I mean, this was a tenant from hell. Thank God she's gone. Now I'm trying to get contractors for the kitchen, and let me tell you something. People are getting so much money for unemployment, contractors couldn't find good employees. So they couldn't service. It wasn't a supply chain issue, it was a manpower issue.
Yep.
All right, because what would they get? An extra 600? Delaware unemployment was only 3 and change. Now it's $1,000. Who the hell's going back to work? All right, excuse my language, but I went through a tremendous amount just to get a contract in this house. I went through 3 different contractors. One did the 2 bathrooms, one did the kitchen, and one was supposed to do the floor. The guy that did the floors totally screwed them up. I rented it with screwed up floors. He was supposed to sand them down and varnish it. He did. He sanded them down, he varnished it, but it's spotty in colors because he didn't do a good enough job sanding. He didn't remove all the old lacquer,
Right.
so the sand adhered to the wood better than it would on the lacquer. So I have a spotted floor system for the entire house. I still rented it without it because I lost 2 years of income because of this piece of tenant that I had.
Right.
Extra. I did my due diligence to get this done, and I've even rented it before its completion to my satisfaction. And you can invite them to come look at my house. So I have a whole new kitchen, I have new bathrooms, 2 of them, and all the rooms are painted. And unfortunately, it took me until
New
now
roof,
to get it done.
new roof, new patio.
New roof, new patio. The fence, I had the fence fixed, modified outside.
Okay. All right.
And in the interim, while it was empty, I paid someone to mow my lawn because I'm disabled and I can't get out there every week and mow it. I got a nudge from the judge, said, Joe, you sent me a letter. I didn't realize mowing time season came, and once he gave me the letter, from that, the rest of the summer was taken care of. It was just like the first week or 2, out of sight, out of mind, maybe. I didn't notice the grass was knee high or wherever it was.
Right.
I don't think it was knee high. It was,
No.
it was long enough to give the prompt that, you know, hey,
Somebody complained.
mhm,
Somebody must have phoned in and said,
and I was right
it's
on.
knee high by the 4th of July. It's too high.
Mhm.
Okay.
No, it didn't go to July. No, no, no way.
Okay.
No, that'd be way too, that would be knee high by now.
That's a Midwestern.
Yeah.
Corn statement. Anyway, but, all right,
So I'm not asking for a waiver. I'm asking for the actual, please, one time.
I got you. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Mr. Bergstrom, anything else you want to say?
Yeah, this is number two. This is just something I had to do and didn't want to, but you know, the house was vacant for a year.
Right.
So, and during 2000, it was vacant and just the way it was.
And just so you and everybody understands, look, I mean, it has to, the statute set up, there are people that go and spend the winter months in warm weather states, right? So we don't, the goal is not to catch that. That's not, it's, if the property remains vacant for an extended period of time, we start to worry about what that means to the neighbors, the property values. And if, you know, again, if you were living next door and if the next door house, the house
I'm
next
not
door,
calling it a rush.
you'd start to be like scratching your head, like, what are we doing about this? And so we have a number of those properties around the city where it's kind of like, we get people calling, like, what are you doing about that? I lived at 3rd and Delaware Street, and the house at 4th and Delaware Street looked like something out of the Munsters movie. And, you know, and the owner is in Germany and ignored every request to do even the most basic stuff. And so public pressure came from residents saying, you guys have got all the tools, you've got to do something with some teeth about this, so people get on it. Give them a reasonable amount of time, but we gotta get them on it, because the status quo is untenable. So here we are. All right, so if either of you have nothing else to say, are there any public comments about this?
I have a couple questions.
There you go. Sorry,
Yeah,
questions
it's
first, then
okay.
public comments. Phil raised his hand, so go ahead.
I want to make certain I understand the timeline properly. Your application says that you filed an application to register the property as vacant in November of 2019. And this is after you got the tenant, the bad tenant out of there, right?
Mhm.
Okay. And then how long was it empty? Is what I want to know. When did you said you re-rented it August 5th.
August 5th, that's when,
So it's been literally
vacant.
almost 2 years to get to the point where you
Yes.
could rent it again?
yes, like I said in the beginning, you can contact Del Marvin. Please do. Call Del Marvin.
No, I'm not calling anybody.
I
I'm
have a
asking you
phone
questions.
number for the
Let me
guy that
ask you
had
questions.
scheduled
Okay,
it.
we're in a hearing, so I need to ask you questions. This is your time to lay out the facts for me.
That was out of my control. Del
That's what I'm
Marvin, I
trying to
couldn't help
pin
that.
down. So, okay, so since she moves out, what you're telling me is that you had trouble with, due to the pandemic, with contractors or due to the excessive unemployment that's being paid here now, getting contractors out there at all.
Yes,
They couldn't find employees to do any kind of work.
yes,
And when you did have work done, it was faulty work, but you still proceeded. This is the floor as you were talking
yes,
about, right?
sir. But you could come and check it out.
Okay. Okay. I understand.
Mr. Rafi, any questions?
Can I assume that all the work that Mr. Nicotra described was done under a building permit? 'Cause I'm gonna be back to the same, you know, a satisfactory proof, again, without disagreeing or, you know,
You need a
stating.
permit, well, 1 second, you need a permit to.
I'm just,
to what?
is there if
No, I did
you
not have a
needed the
permit.
proof, do you have building
All the
permits and
permits that he
everything?
needed to get, he got.
Thank you. Thank you.
Patio, roof, sanding floors, no, but some of those other things, yes. Those are
The
permanent.
roof, I need a permit?
I think I got you on too, so.
Okay.
All right,
Those are.
Well, the
those-
HVAC, the contractor told me I don't need a permit because it's got like a 0 emission, doesn't go through the chimney. It's like a 98, 99% efficiency level. And I was sworn by I was told by the contractor, I didn't need a permit.
Contractors don't always tell the truth.
I would just say that,
Let-
for safety's sake, you
Check with this
make
man.
make a phone call, Chris.
He said
I'll-
you need it if you tap into the flue.
Right.
And then he said I have to gut the flue because I have to put an aluminum or a stainless steel pipe down.
let's forget I used the word all.
Yeah.
I'll say a substantial amount of the work that Mr. Nicotra did was done under permit. Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions? All right, thank you, guys. Thank you both. All right, public comment.
Yeah, I just had a question, not just for clarification. Since the hearing's tonight and the notification would have been a few weeks ago maybe. But he had a tenant, I guess, August, would,
Let me also point out, hold on a second, Mr. Gross.
Okay.
Public can make comments. You're under no obligation to
fine.
answer any questions to anybody, okay? Just be clear. Go ahead.
so the question is, come to the hearing, wouldn't you, as a body, check to see if it's still vacant? And if it was found to not be vacant, would the owner still be obligated to come before you guys?
I'm not sure I'm following your question.
I guess he's
Well-
wondering why we're even holding the hearing.
Why is he gonna vacant property registration
Yes,
invoice if
thank
it's not vacant?
I follow.
Okay.
I follow.
I'd be happy to discuss that with Mr. Gross offline.
Okay,
Let's do it that way.
okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you. All right. If there's no other public comment and there's no other comments, all right, we'll close the hearing. I need a motion to close the hearing.
Motion to close. and
Second.
enter the business discussion.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, that hearing is closed. Thank you. All right,
I make a
discussion.
motion to dismiss the entire case. If the property is occupied, it's not vacant, there shouldn't be any registration fee on an occupied property.
That's great.
That's cutting to the chase. I have no problem. I'm sorry, was that a motion or your
That's the motion. I
I'll
made a
second.
motion.
second?
All in favor, say aye.
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 Have a
Unanimous.
nice night.
Have a nice night.
Sorry for your problems with the tenants and the contractor.
And next time we'll get the notices out.
I,
But
trust
if
me,
it comes vacant in the future, you want to register. Okay.
I wish I had it rented sooner. I lost a lot of income.
I'm sure you did.
No
I'm
problem.
sure you did. All right,
Have a great night.
thank you. All right. 207 Balt Avenue. Lisa Smith. Okay.
My wife's disabled, so I think it's best that I handle this since I'm her caregiver.
I'm sorry, tell me your first name.
My name is Chris.
Chris, okay. Chris Smith? Yep, okay. All right. Mr. Bertram, tell us about 207 Balt Avenue, please.
We noticed that the house was vacant. Found out when the utilities were cut, determined the property needed to be registered. And you see the letters. Mr. Smith can tell you when you acquired the property. How's that going?
And what are your observations about the property itself in terms of its status and condition?
They're making progress on stabilizing the outside of the property. I think their next game, where they've been talking to me about the interior work that's going to be done.
Okay, they have contractors and they have permits and they have all that in order.
As much as they need to. As many permits as they need to do at this time.
All right. Jeff, anything else? No? Mr. Smith?
Yeah, my wife Lisa was willed the home from our neighbor next door when she died of cancer in 2013.
Okay.
My wife was an award-winning nurse and LPN for children, and she's been disabled since 2011 because of two major medical problems. We probably lost $500,000 in the last 10 years. I'm working 2 jobs to compensate for that because of her Social Security disability check. I'm currently working with Stuart Thomas Brothers. He's a friend of mine. I've worked with him physically in the house, just helping do different stuff. The same problem as the other people where we've had supply chain problems. He's had problems getting people hired to do the work in addition to what, they're already committed to do because that's their business. We've entered into agreement with him where when it. Yeah, well, yeah, she just reminded me, we got COVID from him because he got it from one of his workers and he was out for 5 months, so that impacted that as well. But we're in agreement with him that once it eventually sells, which is our goal here, is to get it on the market as soon as possible, that he would get his part of the, for his materials, time and effort and all that type of thing. In September, we just finished brand new siding. He put a brand new roof on there. There's some other things that need to be done, like repointing of a chimney.
How much more time you need to finish up the rehab?
I'm hoping that, by summer, or.
That much more to do by summer? Really?
Well, I'm really, it's a very old house. I think it was built in 1925, or something in that order.
Nothing ever done.
And the woman that lived there had grown up there. It was built by her father, so there's a lot of old, like everything that we've tried to do, there's always twists and turns of what needs to be done that's not standard. And I am not speaking as a knowledgeable contract person. I was just helping him with different stuff. And there's some things to be done, but to tell you exactly what needs to be done, I don't know, but I'm hoping, within the next 6-7 months, we can get it done. We would have liked it to have been done yesterday because it's been a really arduous process between the virus and the supply chain and everything else. But we'd like to, have it done as quickly as possible, obviously. But whatever time you can give us would be good, because I mean, he's up against it, and helping me and doing what he's got to do for his own business.
All right, thank you. All right. I kind of view this, so let me say, also, let me apologize also to you both for the notice difficulties, okay?
Yeah,
But appreciate it. Glad it was brought to our attention. Can't get better unless we know, right? So thank you for your patience and understanding. We'll get that tidied up. I view this in kind of a similar situation to appreciate the progress. Again, thank you for investing in the property, because that helps everybody, helps the neighborhood, helps the neighbors. And that's good. Having remodeled a very old house of similar age when I lived in Virginia, it was kind of mousetrap. You did one thing here and two other things.
Right, exactly. That's what it's been. Right.
And I appreciate that, but at some point, the projects end, or you got to kind of put a pin in it. So my view of this presently is, I think it would be in your best interest to either with this contractor or another contractor. I'm going to go back to the plan that we shared with the first hearing tonight. By January 31st, you should formalize whatever you're going to do. Get your prices, get an agreed upon plan, get all that set aside. Make sure Mr. Bergstrom has insight into every bit of that. And then by the end of June, you're done. You got to be done with it. Okay. And so hopefully there's a for sale sign out front, and in this market, things should go like a hotcake, and you get your money, and the contractor gets paid. That's the deal you guys got.
Right.
But I think so. I appreciate that you're making progress. These things cost money. Yes, these are crazy times for all the reasons you stated and the other people have stated tonight. So I think I'm willing to give you a waiver because you're making progress, but I do think you got to have a plan, and you got to have, things ordered, and you got to have your ducks in a row. And I'm willing to give you till January 31st to do all that, and then execute and wrap it up and call it June 30th, and it's got to be done. That's just my view.
I don't know if the status report in January is necessary here. It's not like the first applicant who hadn't even hired a contractor yet. I mean, it sounds like you're well underway. You've got your siding done, you've got a contractor working on it. I just think sounds like you just need to continuously work on it, and you need a little more time to get it done. I mean, I'd be in favor of you want 7 months? I think that's reasonable. That ought to give you plenty of time. But to the mayor's point, got to get your orders in for any materials now.
Yeah.
Appliances, cabinets, whatever you need to rehab. You don't order them now, it's going to be a long time until you see them properly. So as long as you're organized and working on it continuously, I mean, it's up to you guys if you feel that conditions required. But I see this applicant is actually moving. You pulled permits. The first one hadn't even scratched the surface yet.
I agree, but I'm concerned because one project can lead to 2 more, can lead to 5 more. Look, we're all homeowners here. Look, these things are endless. They never really go away. Is it ever really done? No, never done. But my own view would be that I think it would be helpful to have, just I think for your organizational purposes, put a pin in it, like, okay, we've walked through with the contractor, we've decided everything we're gonna do. And short of a major calamity or something that's completely overlooked, would be really a big surprise at this point. I think you gotta just say, and the point that I'm trying to get to is what you described at the second part of your commentary, Mr. Lasko, and that was all the decisions are made, all the things are ordered, and now it's just time to wait, get the materials in, execute the day. And I want to see all that done by January 31st, so that June 30th actually, or before, is a reality. That's all.
I'm inclined to agree with the mayor, if for no other reason, we're back to that demonstration of satisfactory proof. Without the January 31 kind of stop point, there, we're essentially, and again, don't take this the wrong way, we're essentially just taking his word for it.
Right.
So if for no other reason, I would agree with the mayor. Just to clarify, we've talked different dates. 7 months would technically be June 16th. So I would, instead of saying how many months, why don't we just peg it to June 30th, which is in essence 7.5 months.
Right.
Did we ask for public comment? Did we do that?
Not yet, not yet. We're still in discussion.
So I'd be inclined to, for all intents and purposes, just repeat the motion for, that we used for, Ms. Clark, this time around.
All right. Any comments, any thoughts, any reactions?
No, so it's just as long as I, submit like a proposal of what I'm gonna do by January 31st to Jeff, then that's.
Correct.
all right with you.
Right. You got a plan and you got everything ordered, you got stuff rolling, and you said, like, these are the defined projects we're gonna do. You know, we're not gonna decide on April 10th, we're gonna put an addition on the back of the house or something like that, right? That's all. Okay.
Again, just to clarify, the first motion for Ms. Clark was hiring of a contractor and or ordering of materials. Now, Mr. Smith just basically said, present a game plan to the building official.
Correct.
To me, those are not necessarily the same thing.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct. That's correct. All right, public comment, if any? All right, hearing none. All right, motion to adjourn the hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right. I stated kind of my viewpoints on this, what I think is the right strategy going forward. And I'm willing to waive the penalty to get everybody where they want to be, and that is the house remodeled to a satisfactory condition so it can be put up for sale, and the owners can cash in, pay their contractors, call it a day.
Like you're still kind of pondering, I'll go ahead and make a motion and then
Make the
you can
motion,
do
yeah.
whatever you feel like with it then. Okay, so I move that we grant the a one-time waiver for the registration fee for vacant material. Conditioned upon the applicant providing a struggling for a better word than game plan,
Status report?
status report.
That includes materials and whatever else is need to be ordered and.
Scope of work and confirmation that materials have been ordered.
Right, okay. To the building official by January 31, the waiver to expire June 30.
You got that down, Kev?
Would you mind repeating
I knew you.
what you said?
Okay, let me try it. If I'm okay.
Please.
Okay. This would be a motion to waive the one-time waiver of the annual registration fee conditioned upon a status report due to Mr. Bergstrom by January 31, 2022, confirming all materials have been ordered and providing a scope of work for the work that remains to be done. The extension would expire on June 30th, 22. That's your deadline for completing the work. Okay, remember, it's a one-time exemption. You can't come back later and say, I need another 90 days or something. Right? Okay.
Yeah, I understand.
All right, discussion. We made the motion. We had a second.
Did we get a second on that?
No.
Second.
Okay.
All right. Any other discussions? Mr. Lasko, Mr. Gracie?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. It's unanimous. All right,
Good luck.
there you go.
Good luck.
All right, great. Thank you.
All right.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right, adjourned at 7:27. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
No.
I think what we did was, or what I did was handle it like